The Black Snake prophecy refers to a vision by the Lakota holy man Black Elk, who foresaw an apocalyptic black snake crossing a mighty river. According to the prophecy, if the snake successfully crosses the river, it signifies the beginning of the end of the world. However, if the snake is prevented from crossing, it represents the dawn of a new age of peace and cooperation. In Black Elk's vision, a hawk and an eagle, possibly symbolizing racial cooperation, ultimately kill the black snake. This prophecy has gained renewed attention in light of the Standing Rock protests against the Dakota Access Pipeline. Some Native American elders from various tribes interpret the current events as signs that we are on the verge of either a new era or the end of the current one. Concurrently, other tribes have similar prophecies foretelling the end of the current era due to environmental degradation and strife, followed by a transition into a new world. The Hopi prophecy, for example, speaks of the sea turning black, and many living things dying as a result, which could be interpreted as an oil spill or other environmental disaster. It also mentions a dwelling place in the heavens falling with a great crash, appearing as a blue star, which some might interpret as an extraterrestrial event or the arrival of an alien ship. The Mohawk prophecy of the seventh generation similarly describes a time when elm trees would die, animals would be born deformed, and rivers would burn, all pointing to environmental devastation. This prophecy also states that 7 generations after contact with Europeans, the Onkwahanwe, referring to the Native American people, would rise up and demand the restoration of their rights and stewardship over the earth. The current generation of Kanyenkahaka, referring to the Mohawk people, youth is believed to be the 7th generation mentioned in the prophecy, tasked with providing leadership and guidance to those who have failed. These prophecies, while open to interpretation, reflect the deep connection Native American cultures have with the environment and their concerns about the consequences of human actions on the earth. The similarities between these prophecies from different tribes suggest a shared understanding of the cyclical nature of time and the potential for significant changes in the world as we know it. The blood and soil effect of wars refers to a controversial theory suggesting that armed conflicts can lead to long-term environmental benefits for the areas where battles took place. Proponents of this idea point to historical examples like the Korean Demilitarized Zone, which has become an unintended nature preserve teeming with rare plant and animal species. They argue that the absence of human activity in former war zones allows ecosystems to recover and thrive, sometimes for decades or even centuries after the conflict ends. Some researchers have noted increased biodiversity in areas that were once battlefields, citing the presence of endangered species and the restoration of natural habitats. Supporters of this theory also highlight how unexploded ordnance and landmines can inadvertently create de facto wildlife sanctuaries by keeping humans away from certain regions. Critics, however, argue that the environmental damage caused by warfare, including chemical contamination and habitat destruction, far outweighs any potential benefits. Bloodletting magic refers to the practice of using one's own blood in magical rituals or spells. Practitioners believe that blood, as a life essence, holds immense power and can be used to enhance the potency of their magical workings. In some traditions, a small amount of blood is extracted, typically through a pinprick on the finger, and added to spells or ritual items like talismans or poppets. The belief is that the blood creates a stronger connection between the practitioner and the intended outcome of the spell. Some also view the offering of blood as a way to demonstrate dedication or to bind oneself to a particular magical oath or intention. The use of blood in ritual can be traced back to various ancient cultures, such as the Aztecs, who believed blood offerings were necessary to appease the gods. In modern times, the practice is most often associated with certain branches of paganism, witchcraft, and Western occultism. Responsible practitioners take proper precautions to ensure safety and hygiene when engaging in bloodletting magic. However, the use of blood in magic remains a controversial topic, with some viewing it as a form of self-harm or as crossing ethical boundaries. Despite the taboo nature of the practice, those who engage in bloodletting magic believe that the power of blood can greatly amplify the effectiveness of their spells and rituals. Bloop refers to an ultra-low frequency, high-amplitude underwater sound detected by the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in 1997. The sound, which lasted for about 1 minute, was picked up by hydrophones, underwater microphones, across the Pacific Ocean. The source of the sound was roughly triangulated to a remote area of the ocean off the southern coast of Chile. Due to its high amplitude and distinct characteristics, some have speculated that the sound could have been produced by an unknown large marine animal. Theories range from undiscovered species of giant squid to prehistoric creatures thought to be extinct, such as the megalodon, a gigantic shark. Proponents of these theories argue that the ocean depths remain largely unexplored and could harbor creatures yet to be discovered by science. Additionally, some cryptozoology enthusiasts suggest that the sound shares similarities with the vocalizations of known marine animals, only on a much larger scale. However, most scientists believe that the sound was likely produced by natural, non-biological phenomena, such as ice calving or underwater volcanic activity. Body memory refers to the idea that the human body can store memories and emotions in its tissues, organs, and cells independently of the brain. Proponents of this theory suggest that traumatic experiences, physical or emotional, can leave imprints in the body that persist long after the event has passed. These imprints are thought to manifest as chronic pain, muscle tension, or other physical symptoms that may not have a clear medical explanation. Some alternative health practitioners, such as massage therapists and body-centered psychotherapists, claim to be able to access and release these stored memories through touch and manipulation of the body. They believe that by working with the body directly, they can help clients process and heal from past traumas, even if the person has no conscious recollection of the events. Anecdotal evidence from individuals who have experienced relief from chronic pain or emotional distress after undergoing body-centered therapies is often cited as support for the concept of body memory. Additionally, some people point to the phenomenon of phantom limb sensations, where amputees continue to feel sensations in a limb that has been removed, as evidence that the body can store information independently of the brain. While the idea of body memory is gaining popularity in certain alternative health circles, it remains a controversial and largely unproven theory in the scientific community. Skeptics argue that there is a lack of rigorous, peer-reviewed research to support the existence of body memory, and that anecdotal evidence can be explained by other factors, such as the placebo effect or the power of suggestion. Bohemian Grove refers to a private campground located in Monterey, California, owned by the Bohemian Club, a private men's club known for its high-profile members, including businessmen, politicians, and artists. The club hosts an annual 2-week summer encampment, which has become the subject of various conspiracy theories. Some believe that the gathering serves as a meeting place for a secret society of powerful elites who engage in occult rituals and make important global decisions behind closed doors. One of the most well-known rumors involves a mock human sacrifice called the cremation of care ceremony, where a figure dressed in a dark robe appears to burn an effigy in front of a large owl statue. Conspiracy theorists interpret this ritual as evidence of the members' involvement in sinister occult practices. They also point to the presence of high-ranking politicians and businessmen as proof that the gathering is used to shape world events and maintain power structures. Some theorists even suggest that the Bohemian Grove is linked to other alleged secret societies, such as the Illuminati, while the Bohemian Club maintains that the retreat is simply a private gathering for networking and entertainment. The secretive nature of the event, and the influential status of its attendees, continue to fuel speculation. Proponents of these theories often cite leaked photographs, insider accounts, and the reluctance of members to discuss the event as evidence that there is more to the Bohemian Grove than meets the eye. The idea that powerful individuals gather in secret to engage in mysterious rituals and shape global agendas remains a captivating notion for many who believe in the existence of hidden power structures that influence world events. Boltzmann brain is a concept that arises from a thought experiment in theoretical physics and cosmology. The idea suggests that, given enough time, random fluctuations in the universe could give rise to self-aware entities, or brains, that pop into existence. These hypothetical brains are named after the 19th century Austrian physicist Ludwig Boltzmann, who proposed that the universe could have arisen from a random fluctuation in a state of chaos. The concept of Boltzmann brains is based on the idea that, in an infinite universe or a universe that exists for an infinite amount of time, even highly unlikely events, such as the spontaneous formation of a functioning brain, could occur by chance. Some cosmologists have suggested that, in certain models of the universe, Boltzmann brains could be more common than brains that arise through the normal process of evolution on planets like Earth. This leads to a philosophical conundrum known as the Boltzmann brain problem, which questions our understanding of the nature of consciousness and the universe itself. If Boltzmann brains are more likely to occur than evolved brains, it could imply that our own existence and perceptions might be nothing more than a fleeting cosmic accident. However, many scientists argue against the likelihood of Boltzmann brains, citing various reasons such as the instability of such entities and the lack of empirical evidence for their existence. The concept serves as a thought-provoking reminder of the vast possibilities and uncertainties that still exist in our understanding of the cosmos. This entry refers to a theory that suggests the Boötes void, a vast, nearly empty region of space, is evidence of a glitch or error in the fabric of our universe. This void, also known as the Great Void, is a huge, spherical region of space that contains very few galaxies compared to other parts of the universe. Its existence has puzzled astronomers since its discovery in 1981, as it seems to defy our understanding of how matter should be distributed in the cosmos. Some proponents of this theory argue that the void's unusual emptiness could be the result of a cosmic bug or glitch, similar to an error in a computer simulation. They suggest that if our universe is a simulated reality, the Great Void might be an indicator of an imperfection or flaw in the simulation's code. Others have even speculated that the void could be evidence of an intervention by an advanced alien civilization, who may have manipulated the simulation for their own purposes. While these ideas are highly speculative and not supported by mainstream science, they tap into a broader philosophical question about the nature of reality and whether our universe could be a simulation. However, most astronomers believe that the void can be explained by natural processes, and that its emptiness, while unusual, is not necessarily indicative of a glitch or simulation. Bovine poisoning refers to the phenomenon of cattle dying due to ingesting toxic substances, such as lead or bracken, found in their grazing areas. While accidental poisoning due to environmental contamination is a recognized issue, some theories suggest that the poisoning is intentional and carried out by rival farms or companies. Proponents of this theory believe that competing businesses may resort to poisoning cattle to eliminate their rivals' livestock and gain an advantage in the market. They point to cases where cattle have died in significant numbers, seemingly from unnatural causes, as potential evidence of foul play. Some even take this theory a step further, speculating that secret government agencies or powerful organizations may be behind the poisonings. These conspiracy theorists argue that by controlling the food supply, these entities can maintain power over the population that relies on cattle for sustenance. They suggest that the random nature of the poisonings and the difficulty in tracing the source of the toxins could be indicative of a larger, more sinister plot. While these theories may seem far-fetched to some, believers argue that the high stakes of the food industry and the potential for clandestine power plays make such scenarios plausible. They point to historical instances of unethical business practices and government conspiracies as reasons to be skeptical of official explanations for bovine poisonings. Concrete evidence supporting these intentional poisoning theories is limited, and many cases of cattle deaths can be attributed to natural or accidental causes. Brain in a jar refers to a thought experiment that questions the nature of reality and the reliability of our perceptions. The concept suggests that it might be possible for a human brain to be removed from the body and kept alive in a jar, connected to a computer that simulates a virtual reality. In this scenario, the brain would experience a simulated world that is indistinguishable from reality, leading to the question of whether we can be certain that our current experiences are not also a simulation. This idea has been explored in various fields, including philosophy, science fiction, and even neuroscience. Some proponents of this theory argue that, given the rapid advancement of technology, it is conceivable that a sophisticated enough simulation could be created to fool a brain into believing it is experiencing reality. They point to the development of virtual reality technology and the increasing understanding of how the brain processes information as potential evidence that such a scenario might one day be possible. Others have used this thought experiment to explore questions about the nature of consciousness, identity, and the relationship between the mind and the body. If a brain can experience a simulated reality, it raises questions about what constitutes the self, and whether our physical bodies are essential to our sense of being. Some philosophers have even suggested that we cannot prove that we are not currently living in a simulated reality, as any evidence we might use to disprove the theory could itself be part of the simulation. Brain pollution is a term used to describe the idea that exposure to certain environmental factors, such as electromagnetic fields, chemicals, or even certain forms of media, can have a detrimental effect on brain function. Proponents of this theory suggest that modern life exposes us to a variety of pollutants that can alter brain chemistry, leading to a range of cognitive and psychological issues. Some believe that the increasing prevalence of conditions such as ADHD, depression, and anxiety may be linked to brain pollution. They point to studies that have shown potential links between exposure to certain chemicals, such as pesticides and heavy metals, and neurodevelopmental disorders. Others argue that the proliferation of electronic devices and the increasing amount of time people spend in front of screens may also contribute to brain pollution. They suggest that the constant stimulation and information overload associated with digital media could lead to attention problems, memory issues, and even changes in brain structure. Some advocates of this theory also propose that the content of media, such as violent or sexually explicit material, could have a polluting effect on the brain, particularly in young people whose brains are still developing. While the concept of brain pollution is still being researched and debated, some experts believe that taking steps to reduce exposure to potential pollutants, such as minimizing screen time and avoiding certain chemicals, could help protect brain health. More research is needed to fully understand the complex relationship between environmental factors and brain function. Brane World refers to a concept in theoretical physics that suggests our universe is embedded in a higher dimensional space called the bulk, with the universe itself being a four-dimensional membrane, or brain, within this space. This idea is derived from string theory, which proposes that the fundamental building blocks of the universe are tiny, vibrating strings of energy. In the Brane World scenario, these strings are confined to the surface of the brain, while gravity is the only force that can leak into the bulk. Some proponents of this theory argue that it could help explain certain puzzling aspects of our universe, such as the weakness of gravity compared to the other fundamental forces. If gravity is the only force that can travel through the bulk, it would be diluted across the extra dimensions, making it appear weaker than the other forces confined to the brain. The Brane World concept has also been used to explore the possibility of parallel universes existing within the same higher dimensional space. These universes could be separated by a small distance in the extra dimensions, but would be invisible to us because of our confinement to our own brain. Some scientists have even suggested that the Big Bang that created our universe could have been the result of two brains colliding in the higher dimensional space. While the Brane World theory is still speculative and lacks direct observational evidence, It has attracted interest from many theoretical physicists as a potential framework for understanding the nature of our universe and its place in a possibly much larger multiverse. The concept continues to inspire new ideas and theories in the fields of cosmology and particle physics, as scientists work to unravel the mysteries of the universe and its origins. Breath resetting refers to the idea that consciously controlling and manipulating one's breathing patterns can help reset the body and mind, leading to various physical and psychological benefits. Proponents of this theory suggest that by engaging in specific breathing techniques, such as deep diaphragmatic breathing or alternate nostril breathing, one can activate the body's relaxation response and reduce stress and anxiety. They argue that the way we breathe is closely tied to our autonomic nervous system, which regulates involuntary functions like heart rate and digestion. By deliberately slowing down and deepening the breath, they believe it is possible to shift the body from a state of sympathetic dominance, the fight or flight response, to parasympathetic dominance, the rest and digest state. Some advocates of breath resetting point to the long history of breathwork in various spiritual and wellness traditions, such as yoga and meditation, as evidence of its potential benefits. They note that many of these practices place a strong emphasis on the regulation of breath as a means of promoting physical, mental, and emotional well-being. In recent years, scientific research has begun to lend some credibility to the idea of breath resetting. Studies have shown that certain breathing techniques can indeed have a measurable impact on physiological markers such as heart rate variability, blood pressure, and cortisol levels. While more research is needed to fully understand the mechanisms behind breath resetting and its potential applications, proponents argue that the simplicity and accessibility of breathwork make it a promising tool for self-regulation and stress management. They suggest that by incorporating regular breathing practices into one's daily routine, it may be possible to cultivate a greater sense of balance, resilience, and overall well-being. Breatharianism is a belief that humans can survive solely on air and light, without the need for food or water. Proponents of this idea claim that the human body can be trained to draw sustenance from the energy of the universe, particularly through the practice of breathwork and meditation. They argue that the need for physical nourishment is a mental and cultural construct, and that by transcending this belief, one can attain a higher state of spiritual enlightenment and physical well-being. Some breatharians point to the concept of prana, a vital life force in Hindu philosophy, as the source of energy that can sustain the body without the need for material nourishment. They believe that by learning to harness and absorb this energy through specific breathing techniques and spiritual practices, it is possible to overcome the body's dependence on food and water. Anecdotal accounts from individuals claiming to have successfully practiced breatharianism, sometimes for extended periods, are often cited by proponents as evidence of the validity of this belief. The scientific community overwhelmingly rejects the idea of breatharianism as a viable means of sustenance. The human body requires a consistent supply of nutrients and hydration to maintain essential functions, and there is no credible evidence to suggest that these needs can be met through air and light alone. In fact, attempts to practice breatharianism can be extremely dangerous and have led to severe health consequences, including malnutrition, dehydration, and even death in some cases. Despite the lack of scientific support, the idea of breatharianism continues to hold an allure for some individuals who are drawn to the promise of spiritual transcendence and the idea of rising above the physical needs of the body. The Broder's engine proposes the creation of an infinite energy machine using coils of copper wrapped around magnets. When the magnets move through the coils, the electrons in the copper shift, generating electricity. By arranging thousands of these coil magnet setups in a specific order and connecting them to a lever system, proponents suggest the possibility of perpetual motion, where the movement of magnets continuously generates power. Supporters claim successful closed experiments, but argue that societal and economic forces, such as the influence of oil and electricity companies, hinder widespread adoption or acknowledgement of the technology. Bunkers on Mars refers to the idea that there are artificial structures, possibly built for shelter or storage, on the surface of the planet Mars. Some proponents of this theory point to certain features in satellite images of the Martian surface that they believe resemble man-made bunkers or underground facilities. They argue that these structures are too geometrically regular or complex to have been formed naturally, and thus must be evidence of intelligent construction. One of the most famous examples is the Mars face, a formation in the Cydonia region that some believe resembles a human face and may be part of a larger complex of artificial structures. While NASA has explained this formation as a trick of light and shadow on a natural landform, some conspiracy theorists maintain that it is evidence of an ancient civilization on Mars. Other alleged bunkers or artificial structures have been identified in various regions of Mars, often based on the analysis of satellite imagery by amateur researchers or fringe scientists. Some even speculate that these structures could be secret bases built by humans, either as part of a covert space program or in preparation for a future colonization effort. Believers in the bunkers on Mars theory often point to the existence of underground facilities on Earth, such as military bases and research labs, as evidence that similar structures could be built on other planets. They argue that the harsh conditions on the Martian surface, including extreme temperatures, radiation, and dust storms, would necessitate the construction of sheltered habitats for any long-term human presence. The mainstream scientific community has not found any credible evidence of artificial structures on Mars, and attributes the alleged bunkers to natural geological formations, or pareidolia, the tendency for the human brain to perceive familiar patterns in random stimuli. The butterfly effect is a concept in chaos theory that suggests small changes in initial conditions can lead to large, unpredictable consequences. The term comes from the metaphorical example of a butterfly flapping its wings in one part of the world, setting off a chain reaction that leads to a hurricane in another part of the world. This idea highlights the interconnectedness and sensitivity of complex systems, where seemingly insignificant events can have far-reaching impacts. In the context of weather patterns, the butterfly effect suggests that the tiniest atmospheric changes can cascade over time, making long-term forecasting extremely challenging or even impossible. Some proponents of this concept argue that the butterfly effect extends beyond weather systems and applies to many aspects of life, from personal decisions to historical events. They point to examples where small, seemingly random occurrences have triggered significant changes in people's lives or altered the course of history. For instance, some historians have speculated that minor decisions made by key figures or chance encounters between individuals have dramatically influenced the outcomes of wars, political movements, or scientific discoveries. Others have applied the butterfly effect to the idea of time travel, suggesting that going back in time and making even the slightest changes could drastically alter the future in ways that are impossible to predict. While the butterfly effect is often associated with the unpredictability and chaos of complex systems, some also see it as a reminder of the potential impact of individual actions and the importance of considering the long-term consequences of our choices.